Hello and greetings to all. The title of this video, in case you haven't noticed it, is Religion, Just a Language. Pretty much a story that we tell ourselves based on our ethnicity, our heritage, and the story that we'd agreed upon amongst a certain group or community that we pertain to. I am currently reading the book Christ in Egypt. Oh, you probably can see because it's very glary. Um, it is Christ in Egypt, the Horus and Jesus Connection by D.M. Murdoch. Now, in this masterpiece, I have 17% of it read, and it's just mind blowing. It's kind of hard to take in because it's very anthropological. It cites sources that, from Egyptologists. So, myself, just an average Chicano, it's kind of hard to take everything in, but I have my handy dandy notebook and I take all the notes and later on I revisit them just so my mind can really grasp that. It's kind of hard, but it's not impossible. I have faith in my ability to learn, my brown ability to learn. But anyways, in this book, he discusses the burning of the library at Alexandria. It was a massive library. It was burned down to the ground. It's no more. Finito. What does it remind us of? The zeal of the Spaniards to burn down our codexes and the vast libraries of our Anahuaca ancients. There's a movie, The Other Conquest, La Otra Conquista, and the movie starts with these codexes being burned. Well, one of the main characters, the priest, saves a portion of that particular page that the main character is working on, the Amatlaquilo, which means picture writer. And it just pretty much throughout the whole movie, it really highlights how strongly they endeavor to impose their religion upon, their subjugates, the indigenous people of pre-colonial Mexico. And one of the favorite strategies of them was to completely uproot them from their ancestry. Why did they have to do that? Well, in order to assimilate the natives. These are a violent force of locusts that are sweeping down a nation, spreading smallpox. Can you just imagine the psyche of the natives and how these white bearded men are being perceived? They're a plague, a literal plague. Now, most of the people were decimated, so when most of your people have died or sickly or are enslaved or sent to the mines and stuff, you have a very weak psyche and you're a little more malleable because it's kind of like, okay, well, at this point I can either die along with them or just feed into what they're feeding me. So even though they were an emaciated people, that were subjugated, physically, financially, culturally, there was still the spirit that hadn't been conquered and dominated. And for the most part, our spirits are not conquered. And if they are, it's easier to let go of the, subjugation of our spirit than, culturally, because, I have to dress a certain way, I have to speak a certain way. But my spirit can ever be redirected toward the font of our spirituality of Anawa. So that was pretty much the next frontier. We need to find a way to also dominate their spirit. So they connected their European, Middle Eastern, melange of a spirituality with ours through the Virgen de Guadalupe. You have Tonantzin, we have Mary. But guess what? Since we're in command, you can't call her Tonantzin, at least not in public. You can call her Madrecita, you can call her Maria, whatever. Tezcatlipoca, there was a temple of Ostoteotl, which is a manifestation of Tezcatlipoca that represents the caves, the inner earth. So he's pictured black, not African black, but just black as in darkness, as in the depths of the earth. And the natives, like I said, it's been hard to conquer our spirit because we find ways to be resilient, and we shall continue to do so here on forth based on the example set for us by them. They found a way around that in disguising this Tezcatlipoca manifestation as a Cristo Negro. So the Spaniards are like, it's a black Jesus, but it's fine because they're at least worshiping Jesus. Catholic Church's going to be fine. We'll send them a little postcard with these natives worshiping Jesus. Um, Externally, they were worshiping Jesus, but internally, they were perpetuating their ancient spirituality in connection to the Tezcatlipoca. Not a god that they worshiped senselessly, but the Tezcatlipoca. Again, these concepts contain so much teaching. So, in contemplating Tezcatlipoca, they were just contemplating the vastness of what is now referred to as primal matter, of ether and whatnot. There's more darkness than light in the universe, and we're always taught to go for the light. Follow the light. Jesus is the light. Light blinds you. Darkness is primal. Darkness is the origins. Another whole another video, but pretty much there's nothing wrong. If I were to meet a Muslim person, tell me about your Quran, as I spoke in the other video before this one. Tell me about Allah. Tell me about Muhammad. I want to learn. I want to be given an insight into your, theology and cosmology. And you know what? Maybe Muhammad can resonate in the likes of Huitzilopochtli or maybe Quetzalcoatl and stuff like that. But it is whenever I say, you know what? Cute story, Muhammad, but we're in Anahuac, so unless you want to start worshiping Huitzilopochtli, I'm going to persecute you and burn you at the stake. Sorry. And that's where we can come together. Whenever I first adopted the Christian faith, whenever I relinquished the Christian faith, ni lo mande Dios, pun intended, I was kind of resentful whenever anybody talked about, Jesus, God, and everything. It's like a vampire, like, and that's the indoctrination. In Hollywood, the cross and the crucifix, the vampires are like, but in reality, the cross is a pretty scary object because anytime you see it, you know that there is going to be genocide, smallpox, and invasion. So the cross is pretty scary, not because Jesus died on it, but because of everything it's represented from then till now. I was just completely aggressive when it came to religion. And my brother and I kind of went through the same process of disentangling ourselves from religion, but my brother didn't really feed into it as much, so it was easier for him. But once we disentangled ourselves and I got over that resentment period, like heal. In order to heal, you have to let go of anger, of hatred. He, to this point, if somebody were to tell him, what, God wants you to change your, what I'm saying, he'll just be like, walls. If somebody tells me that, I want to think that it's coming from a place of care. So I translate it into my language. I was just at a store where I purchased herbs and other spiritual items, and I was telling the clerk, "Hey, what's her name? She's supposed to be a curandera. She does limpias and stuff like that. Not that I feed into all that, but she's Christian, so it's kind of contradictory because she's practicing a very pagan practice, yet with the facade of Christianity." And I told her the first time she wrote me the wrong way because she just kept throwing Jesus in my face. But I've come to realize that whenever she's mentioning Jesus, I interpret it in my mind as Huitzilopochtli. God is, to me, is the all, the creator, Omedeo, Ome Siwat y Ome Tecutli. That took a while to blurt out. Tonacatecutli, Tonacatesiwat, Our Lady and Lord givers of our flesh. So everything's translated. I want to get along with her just like I want to get along with a Muslim, a Hindu, a Buddhist. So rather than just throw my ideologies out there and attack yours, I want to see how we come together. So I'm going to continue this conversation, but just think of religion as a language. Where we're speaking English to a French and we don't really speak French and we're trying to bridge the gap, they're bridging the gap as well. So whenever somebody talks to you about their religion, it's your choice, your conscious choice to tolerate it, or to just tell them, I don't want to hear about Jehovah's Witness stuff. But if you really care about somebody, hear them out and learn ways to come together rather than just attack each other and have each other by the neck. Like, comment, share, and follow.